Hello, and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you? Hope you're well. I'd like you to cast your mind back, if some of you are able to do so, to a character called the Incredible Hulk. Now, many of you will be familiar with the Incredible Hulk because of his insertion into the Marvel film franchise, but I'm talking about the television series that ran from 1978 to 1982. It was one of those landmark shows that you just stopped and watched. There wasn't anything peculiar about it. I know that sounds weird because the whole premise of the show is that it's peculiar. But Dr. David Banner was just another kind of character who was trying to overcome good against evil. And as far as he was concerned, the issue was that he was both good and evil. So, at the top of the show, there used to be a wonderful voiceover, and it went very much like this. Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strengths that all humans have. Then, an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry. And now, when David Banner grows angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurs. The creature is driven by rage and pursued by an investigative reporter. The creature is wanted for murder, a murder he didn't commit. David Banner is believed to be dead, and he must let the world think that he is dead until he can find a way to control the raging spirit that dwells within him. Now, that in itself was enough for me to get excited about the show. The fact that it was on, when I used to watch it anyway, it was on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know when it was on originally in the States, but over here in the UK it used to be a Sunday afternoon. It was family viewing. Why did I watch it as a kid? Well, Bill Bixby as David Banner and Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. And originally, back in 1977, they did a pilot back in the year before and had Richard Kiel playing the Hulk. Now, Richard Kiel, as you will know, went on to star in 2 James Bond movies as Jaws. Now, the difference is the overall strength. The fact that Lou Ferrigno was a bodybuilder and was built like an outside privy, and the fact that Richard Kiel was tall and looked big but wasn't actually very strong at all. So they decided to go with the bodybuilder. Now, you have a couple of instances here where you find yourself backed up against a wall. You have cast a bodybuilder to be the star of this show, as the character. Who do you get to double him? You need to find a bodybuilder who is able to stunt double him in such a way that, you know, there's not going to be much to tell in the edit where Lou Ferrigno stops and where the stunt double takes over. And luckily, you know, back then they were able to do so. Bodybuilding isn't a thing really these days that stunt performers go into. Look at a great many of these they're toned. Yeah, they're ripped, I believe is the phrase that people use these days, and they look fantastic. And some of them look like they'd do a decent meal. However, back in the mid-70s, if you were strong enough and a physical presence like Lou Ferrigno, like the Hulk, then there was a certain situation where you could go on further. Around that sort of time was also the time where we saw Arnold Schwarzenegger coming into his own in these movies where it was muscles. Muscles was the answer. That's all they really had. They got muscles. Well, you can do no wrong. You are obviously the hero if you have muscles. So they managed to find a stuntman called Manny Perry. Now, Manny Perry was a world champion bodybuilder, as was Lou Ferrigno. So, they were from the same sort of stock. But you have a very interesting scenario, because Manny Perry is a black stuntman. Just take that on board for a moment. I'll go on in a second. Manny Perry is a black stunt performer. Now, what we've had for years has been a world of discrimination. Black actors, black stunt performers. I'm talking within the business. Obviously, we know that there is a huge amount of discrimination in every other walk of life. But within the business, performers, coordinators, actors, you name it, have had a considerable amount of discrimination. Why? Because through the 60s and through the 70s, there was a great deal of being in the right clique, if that's a word that people are familiar with overseas. It's a UK word meaning, you're in the right group. If I know you and you know him, and we all know each other, regardless of what the deal is, we're going to get work, right? It's that simple. The fact that there is a guy over there who is a brilliant double for the actor that we're wanting to double, it doesn't matter because we don't know him. We're not overly happy with him, and plus the fact he's a bit weird. So on the strength of that, we're not going to use him, we'll manage. Is a very simple way of trying to explain it. Well, throughout the 60s and 70s, on television and film, if you had black actors, often they were doubled by white stunt performers. Firstly, because there weren't enough black performers. That has to be said. And there weren't enough to go around. There are many, many more now, but still never enough. And certainly from a UK point of view, we've never got enough. But the second part to that is because plain and simple discrimination. The coordinators didn't want the black performers to be part of the same organisation. You remember that there was the Black Stuntmen's Association, because they weren't getting work with the conventional and the white stunt teams, and so they were having to set up their own. And on the strength of that, it was shows like I Spy, for instance, that suddenly came along and made a difference to black performers, because they were being cast in pictures either as actors or as doubles, but they were doubling people of colour. So that was massively important. Now, we swing that right the way around and we come back to the Incredible Hulk. What you have is a character, the Hulk. He is played by a white bodybuilder, Lou Ferrigno. He is doubled by a black bodybuilder stunt performer, Manny Perry. So how is this possible? How is it possible? And more importantly, why weren't people screaming from the rooftops and going, yes, Manny is ahead of his time. The people on Incredible Hulk, they're breaking barriers. They're now going in a different direction. They're now saying, look, this black performer can now double this white actor. Do you know why? It's because the character that Lou Ferrigno was playing was green. I was lost for words too when I found out. But that's really what it boils down to. The fact that Manny Perry was a magnificent double for Lou Ferrigno was neither here nor there. The fact that he could do this because the character was green, and therefore both parties had to be painted a neutral colour, if you will, and that's how they were allowed to get around it. It's a very, very weird scenario, But on the strength of all of that, you think to yourself, really? That's very peculiar. I'm not quite sure why that's a thing, but it became a thing. And so that's why Manny Perry was the guy. Now, on the strength of that as well, we also have to say that Manny Perry was the assistant coordinator. He was double for Ferrigno on, all 82 or 81 of the episodes, certainly, of The Incredible Hulk. He was assistant coordinator. He did all the stunt rigging on that show as well, primarily. He was surrounded by a lot of other great stunt people too, one of which I believe was coordinator Frank Orsatti, who I think was kind of overlooking the whole thing. And he did a great deal of doubling too, whether it be for Bill Bixby or for other characters, other actors in the show. And also, there's a number of people who crop up throughout the series. One of which is Charlie Pacherny, and we will see him in our clips that we've put together. So it was a great show for stunt people to get thrown about in all manner of ways, and I think we should take a stroll down memory lane, don't you? But please, don't make him angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. So, here he is, the Hulk, doing his thing and running around the back lot of Universal, presumably, crashing through windows and generally screaming. And that was the key to the whole thing, was that body shape. And then when he's met by other individuals, this guy, for instance, never stands a chance, really. No. You're going for a fly, mate. Oi! Off he goes. The old air ram routine. Throwing people around. There's a lot of that. This particular character is blind, just in case you didn't know. And he's going to meet this guy here, deal with him. And then he's going to be confronted by Charlie Pacherny, stuntman Charlie Pacherny, who is then confronted by the Hulk. Oh, he's not looking too happy about it either. Comes along, has a go at him, and then dispatches Charlie down the staircase. That's why that man has a SAG card. Fabulous facial expression, it's lovely. On the subject of Charlie Pacherny, he only pops up again, look, in a different episode. Look, there he is. He's the security dude, or the police guy, I think it's security, of the junkyard. Gets on the phone to tell somebody, we've got a couple of right guys here. There's a car chase sequence. The car in front is being driven by David Banner. There's a couple of passengers in there. There's one of them. The other guy's in the back. They're trying to outrun the guy in, what's that, a Pontiac? I always get these wrong. But they're trying to outrun him, and apparently there's something of great value in the boot or trunk of said vehicle. It's a yard, so they're crashing into stuff, and stuff is falling over. And then, whoop, runs up the back of a car and turns over. That's beautifully parked. Look at that. David, of course, is trapped. Bill Bixby does great facial expressions here, and then the transformation starts to turn, and he turns into Lou Ferrigno, or the Hulk. This guy's just about to shoot somebody, and the door comes off at a rate of knots. Out pops the Hulk. This is an interesting moment, this, because, yeah, that's an engine. He's picking up an engine, hold it over his head, and he's going to throw it at the oncoming car. That car already has an engine in it, Hulky. Doesn't need another one. Ah, there we are. And then the money goes everywhere. So there's money in the boot of the car. He's trying to stuff it into his shirt, and the Hulk says, no, no, no. Grabs hold of him. A bit of a deliberate mistake here. Well, maybe not deliberate, I'm not sure. Goes to throw him now, and at the bottom of the screen is the air ram. They've left it in the shot. Never mind. Similar situation here as Dr. Banner, always getting himself in scrapes in this television series, and has been knocked out by these two who've put him inside a house. They're now going to drench him in booze, giving the impression that he's simply just passed out. when in point of fact they're going to make his life very, very complicated indeed, because when they go outside, they are going to use fumigation insecticide to blow into the house. And there it is. And, well, you know what the score is. David's not going to like it. He's going to change into the Hulk, and he's going to cause some issues along the way. That's always what happens in these shows. But again, you wanted this. This was the moment that you wanted. This show had all of those sort of things. Yep, here he goes. He's choking now. There's the eyes. And here comes the transformation. Hulking out, I think they used to refer to it. Fully transformed into his bodybuilding self. And so needs to get out of this building, which he will do by crashing through that wall there. Like that. These fellas are now running for what they think is their lives, when in point of fact, he chucks him again on the air ram, throws him down to the floor, and job's a good one. It's these type of things. This is what used to happen on a weekly basis. We used to love this. The next one you'll love even better, because we've all been there. We've all been in the back of a taxi in traffic, and we're saying to the guy, look, if you go down that street there, I need to be somewhere by a certain time. Look, there's traffic all over the place, but if you could just move into the other lane, maybe we can go somewhere. I've got to be there by 5 o'clock. That's what he's saying, look. He says, yeah, buddy, what can I tell you? I can't do anything about it. Yeah, blah, 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 etc., etc. So, anyway, it gets to the stage where the driver's not going to do anything about it because he can't do anything about it, and David's blood pressure is going through the roof, as you can see here. He gets more and more and more excited, to the point where he is so angry that his gamma radiation thing kicks in, and the next thing you know, he's now going to change into the Hulk. It's referred to as a Hulk out. I didn't know whether you knew this. They call it a Hulk out, and there he goes. Look, it started already. The eyes have gone, and the rest is just to follow. It's the expression on the driver's face when he notices that the bloke in the back of the car is no longer the fella he had there a few moments ago, but that bloke off the telly. He straightens the mirror, and he's extra green in there today. Probably because he's got his lumberjack shirt on, maybe, and that's what that is, or his jacket. Kicks it out, kicks the door out, and then goes upon his way. Now, this is new. That's a backlot sequence there, right? Then they cut to actual location. This is backlot as well, I think. Yes, this is backlot, and crashes through this. There we go. That's kicked all over the place. I noticed how the blind man stepped out of the way and then lifts his specs for a butcher's. That's actual location. You see Saturday Night Fever on the cinema there at the Forum, and they've got a handheld camera, and they are chasing him through the city. Now, they can't close off parts of New York for an episode of an episode of for an episode of the Hulk. So they are going to simply follow about the place. There are some trucks that are going to pull out, and some of these people in the street might be extras, but I guarantee that a majority of them aren't, like this shot here. This is a big, wide shot, look, and they pan down, and boom, zoom, there he is. He's in the middle, and there are people who will literally be running away and thinking that's not him, surely. And he runs his way through the city. Incidentally, it's very cold, but he has shoes on. I don't know if you saw that, but they are green shoes that he has on. That's Manny Perry, because that's a different running style to Lou Ferrigno. So they swap around. He gets to this particular car park, or parking lot as it's referred to. Somebody's going to get shot, and the Hulk comes in and makes sure that that guy isn't the one that pulls the trigger, throws him up against a wall. This, again, I believe, is Charlie Pacerni. Over the top he goes and lands on your man there, and then they go rolling off down the ramp, rips the door off, pulls this guy out. Right, you're coming out, and guess what's going to happen? You got it. He's going to go through the air, and he's going to go way like that and land face first in that. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed that, the brief look at the show. Don't forget to check out the Incredible Hulk YouTube page. There's all sorts of episodes and clips on there for you to enjoy. Next week we'll have a look at another TV show. It's about time that TV probably got a look in after 7 seasons. And until then, we will bid you a fond adieu. Bye for now.